And I couldn't have come up with a better Apollo Creed than Carl Weathers. He was absolutely magnificent on his feet, an amazing body, the perfect voice, and he had this bearing that actually Carl came in. We were going to use Ken Norton, and Ken Norton goes, well, no, I'm going to go to the ABC Superstar competition. It fell out like 2 nights before. I said, oh boy. I tell you, I really believe in divine intervention sometimes, because he walks in and he starts to audition and he's doing the lines well, and then he gets up and he starts to box with me a little bit, and he bangs two or three off my head. I said, geez, this guy he really doesn't care if he gets the part, does he? I mean, he's putting lumps on my forehead, and he's really into it. Then he sits back down. He goes, Mr. Avildsen, I could do much better if you had a real actor reading with me. He goes, well, Carl, that's Rocky. That's the guy who wrote the script. He goes, oh, maybe he'll get better. You know what? I said, please hire him. He's great. He's good. That's exactly the attitude I wanted. He was fantastic, and he still is. I remember I was taking the ride across country because I couldn't afford an airline flight, and I'm in the train for like 3 days with the dog Budkiss. And Budkiss at that time had this terrible flatulence problem. He had this gas, and so he was gassing me across the entire country. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it got to the point where I said, Buckus, one of us has got to go. No one's going to sit in the car with us. I couldn't breathe. I said, I'm trying to concentrate on the character of Rocky. Is this foreshadowing? Is this dog telling me exactly how this film is going to come out? A stinker? I don't know. I'll never forget. I was like, the train pulls into Arizona, and it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, is it? I got to do it. So I picked up Buckus and a bear hug and tried to get him to go to the bathroom. And people said, why are you squeezing your dog? I said, you don't understand. It's a matter of survival. And anyway, he didn't. And again, it was a very, very smelly experience until I got to Philadelphia. And then he gets right to the hotel where I'm staying and decides to let it go and literally built a pyramid. I mean, it was the most unbelievable thing. I said, you know what? This dog has got to be in the movie. There's no question about it. There's somehow, I don't know what, but any dog that can do that has star quality or is extraordinary. And that's how Butkus got in the movie. You know, he and I, we kind of like lived together. He was the one that I would bounce ideas of. When I'm sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning writing, I say, what do you think about that? Obviously, he would say nothing, so he's a perfect writing partner. And anyway, that's the story of me and Butkus. The original ending of Rocky was quite different than what we have now. The original ending was he goes the distance and he's looking for Adrian. The crowd is starting to disperse. You know, 1 minute after the fight, yes, he did a noble thing, but time moves on. The champion is carried out of the ring, and Rocky starts to meander through the crowd. He eventually gets to the curtain. He pulls back the curtain at the back of the arena and sees Adrian. And she gives him a slight hug, and he picks up this small pennant like a flag, and hand in hand they start to walk back to the locker room. There's no one talking to him anymore. There's just trash strewn everywhere, and you just see these two solitary figures moving off into the distance, off into, like, you know, being anonymous forevermore. But they just had that moment, and all he could think about was how much he loved her and just getting back to his life again, the real life. And it just didn't seem very, very satisfying. So after we had done that, and that was the poster shot, we thought, boy, wouldn't it be interesting to catch a man's moment, a man's life at the quintessential seminal moment. So we went back, and I have friends in the scene. I have producers in the scene. We had about 30 people. We only had the money to do like 1/4 of the ring, so just a little corner. And you see these people going around in a circle, milling around, and crowds, and Rocky's going, oh, just get everything out of my face. And he's yelling for Adrian, Rocky. And they had someone, as Adrian is running to the ring, again, very, very tight, they had like fishing line connected to her hat, and they pull her hat off So, because I thought, wouldn't it be interesting that the first thing Rocky says when he comes into the ring is like, "Where's your hat?" I mean, he's so into her, into like the way she looks, and that he doesn't care that his eyes are swollen shut, his hands are smashed, and that he's done the greatest thing in his life. He doesn't say, "Look at me." He goes, "Where's your hat?" And he's like, "I love you." He goes, "You know, I love you too." Yeah, I mean, the visuals working, the sound is working, the body movements are all coming together at this absolute peak. And right there, when I embrace her, I was sitting with John Avildsen, and we froze right on the single frame when he is looking elated and he has her in his arms, and it's just this look of ecstasy. And the next frame, it went like, it just deflated. I said, there it is. From that moment on, it's all downhill. I mean, how we all hit this absolute maximum of elation and celebration, and that can only be sustained for like just an infinitesimal moment in time. And if you can you imagine how great it would be just to freeze on that moment? And that's how we froze Rocky. That the original Rocky, he went out at the height. His life will never be more rewarding or more important or more valid than that second. And it was a very, very difficult thing to do. I've been trying to do it in films ever since, to bring all those three elements together at the exact instant. It was like a minor miracle.